About a year ago, LEGO unveiled Rivendell, their massive interpretation of one of the most iconic scenes in Lord of the Rings. Rivendell won this channel's Set of the Year, and I argued it could end up being the set of the decade. And with rumors of a $450 plus Barad-dur coming out later this year, I started dreaming about other potential Lord of the Rings sets that LEGO should make. This video gives you the 10 Lord of the Rings locations on my LEGO wishlist. Before we get to my wishlist though, here's some parameters. First, I'm not including Orthanc because LEGO did that a decade ago, and I have it. But I completely understand why it would be on your wishlist. Second, this list is based on the movie. Yes, I consider it to be one movie, and not the books because that is what LEGO's license allows for. Third, I'm operating here with the understanding that there won't be a fully fledged Lord of the Rings LEGO theme as much as I might want that. As such, this means I'm focusing on sets that would be released like icons or 18 plus sets that range from $200 all the way up to $500, maybe even a little bit more than that. Finally, we need to appreciate that some very cool and legendary scenes just aren't suitable for a LEGO set, like Shelob's Lair, the Dead Marshes, Pelennor Fields, Osgiliath, and more. I would love to see those, but they're probably not going to be made in this variety. Alright, so with those guidelines in place, here we go. The Black Gate would be a great addition to a Barad-dur display, especially if the minifig selection is top-notch. LEGO released a Battle of the Black Gate set in 2013, which included my favorite Lord of the Rings minifig of all time, the Mouth of Sauron. An updated version of him, along with Gandalf the White, Aragorn in Gondorian armor, some orcs, and maybe even an eagle would be great. The actual set from over a decade ago was about 650 pieces. LEGO then gave us an image of a second tower added to it, and it looks decent. But going big here, around $200, would give us a much fuller gate, battlements, and maybe 2 taller towers, better than what we got before. The drawback? So much black. How is this set only number 9 on my list? Well, the White City on the edge of Mount Mindolian has 7 100-foot tall levels. Plus, there's the matter of the Citadel at the top level, which contains the Great White Tree. In other words, the city is massive and impossible to make in minifig form. Thus, it would likely be micro-scale, similar to the large Hogwarts castle. This means that some of the most important details, like the gate, the beacon, all those will be a bit lacking. Now, I have the large Hogwarts, and while it's a great build and an impressive display model, it lacks some of the charm of minifig scale sets, and micro-scale Minas Tirith, despite its grandiosity, would suffer from the same flaw. LEGO is really into buildable figures and animals as of late. We've had a large buildable Hedwig and a Chewbacca, plus a medium-sized R2-D2 and C-3PO are coming out this year. Given that, it would be pretty cool to see a large, buildable, and posable Gwaihir, the greatest of the Eagles of the North, swooping down to the outcrop on Mount Doom, where Sam and Frodo are in need of rescue at the end of Return of the King. If we did get Gwaihir, perhaps we'd get a series of vignettes. Him rescuing Gandalf from Isengard, rescuing Gandalf from the Peak of Calebdil after his battle with the Balrog, along with the Mount Doom scene. The more I think about it, the more I like this idea. The Argonath are enormous statues along the Great River, the River Anduin, that mark the northern border of Gondor. This is likely higher on my list than it is on yours, but these statues would look amazing in LEGO form, especially with the river and its banks included. In terms of minifig selection, we'd get the Fellowship in their post-Lothlorien garb, meaning elven cloaks and brooches, which would be different from what we got in Rivendell. This would make for an amazing display piece. We did get Rivendell last year, but it's not the only woodland realm of importance in Lord of the Rings. And instead of the beautiful architecture of Rivendell, we'd get golden Malorn trees with elvish tree houses in them. This set would be a combination of the recent Ideas Treehouse and Ewok Village from 2013. You'd probably have a couple of sturdy trees connected by bridges, and a wonderful selection of minifigs. Galadriel, Celeborn, some Galadriel, and some of the Fellowship. Ideally, we'd get a section with Galadriel's mirror and garden, which means we'd get a two-sided face for her minifig. We're halfway through our list, and before we hit the top 5, don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Let's get back to the list. Okay, this was probably a bit of a surprise to you, but I love Lego buildings, and this one would be impressive with its Tudor design and detailed interiors. There would be the main pub section where the hobbits would discover pints, the table in the corner where Strider lurks in the shadows watching the hobbits drink. Then you'd have multiple rooms in the inn, one where the hobbits actually sleep and another where the Nazgul attempt to kill them. Speaking of Nazgul, the minifigs in this set would be incredible. A ragged, worn-down Strider, the 4 hobbits, the Nazgul, Butterbur, and maybe even Bill the Pony. This set would also work really well in your medieval display. I'm torn on which part of Moria this would capture, as there are multiple options. One would be the Chamber of Mazarbul, where Balin's tomb is located and the Fellowship are attacked by orcs and a cave troll. A Lego set featuring this might be a more detailed version of the 776-piece entry from 2012, which had some short columns, Balin's tomb, and the well down which Pippin accidentally knocked a bucket, thus alerting the orcs of the Fellowship's presence. Or we could get the 21st Hall, where Sam exclaims,
"There's an eye-opener and no mistake."
There would be massive columns with intricate archways, beautiful dwarven carvings and architecture, and lots of orcs. Even though I would like this, it might be the least likely given its cavernous nature. Or we get Khazad-dûm, featuring the showdown between Gandalf and the Balrog. You'd have the bridge, which would be collapsible, of course, along with the tall columns and arches and the rock face from which the bridge protrudes. Naturally, there would be minifigs depicting the Fellowship, but a sweet, buildable Balrog. This option of the 3 would be my preference. Our first entry into the top 3 is Meduseld, the Golden Hall of King Theoden of Rohan. This set is high on my list, not just because it's a building, but because I love the architecture of the Horse Lords. You get a large staircase leading up to the sturdy door, the thatched roof with dormers, and hopefully more printed tiles like what we got in Rivendell to depict the floor. Beyond that, on the inside, you'd have plenty of wood beams with intricate details and lots of regal tapestries. At the head of the hall would be King Theoden's throne, where Gandalf would confront Theoden. In terms of minifigs, there would be Theoden, Éowyn, Gandalf the White, Legolas, Gimli, Grima Wormtongue, Hama, and maybe some Rohirrim. Okay, that would be a pretty sweet lineup of minifigs. We're sticking with Rohan here by making the journey from Edoras to Helm's Deep, a fortified gorge that until the 2 towers had never been breached before. Lego gave us a sweet version of this back in 2012, along with a small extension set. This is one of my favorite sets of all time, and a massive version would be amazing. The set would feature a ramp spanning the Deeping Stream where Aragorn and Gimli fend off a horde of Uruk-hai who are trying to breach the Hornburg Gate. The Deeping Wall and its culvert that is destroyed by one of the Berserkers would feature prominently as well, with a removable wall section, and of course you'd have the Hornburg itself, along with the Horn of Helm Hammerhand, which Gimli blows to signal the charge at the very end of the battle. In terms of minifigs, you get Aragorn, Gimli, Legolas, Theoden in his battle armor, Rohirrim, Uruk-hai, and because this is based on the movie, some elves. Asking for some Dunlendings and some Huorns might be a bit much. Alright, are you surprised that number 1 would be Bag End? I mean, come on. I know that means we're leaving some great sets off this list like Weathertop, but getting a large Bag End would be worth it. We did get a wonderful 652-piece version of this back in 2012 for the Hobbit movie, but this would be much larger. The garden out front would be full of flowers and greenery with a nice path leading into the gate and up to that iconic front door. The inside would be spacious with multiple rooms, with one featuring the fireplace where Gandalf reveals the ring's true identity and of course bangs his head on the beam. You'd have the dining area and probably some sort of pantry. On top of Bag End would be a majestic oak tree, full and green, not like the spindly thing we got back in 2012. The minifigs would include Sam, Gandalf, Frodo, Gandalf's cart with fireworks, and some hobbits. Asking for some Sackville Bagginses, on the other hand, might be a bit much. So there you have it, my LEGO Lord of the Rings wish list here in early 2024. Before you head out, check out one of these other videos, and always remember to keep building together.